So it was the GPHG this week, the Grand Prix de l'Horlogerie de Genève, more colloquially known as the Watch Oscars. There are prizes, speeches, you name it. Thankfully no punching, and I had the enormous privilege to attend. Now I'll be very honest, I'm pretty cynical when it comes to stuff like this, and I assumed that if the event was going to be anything like the marketing copy produced by the Swiss watch industry, that it was going to be a bit, Swiss. And some of it was. I actually made a casual bet with someone beforehand that, based on the weirdly alien and robotic way the Swiss have of communicating, that the entertainment would probably be someone standing on stage doing the thing where you pretend you've detached the tip of your thumb. I meant that figuratively, that the entertainment would be bizarrely crap. But I kid you not, the entertainer did literally that, with the thumb. I wasn't even mad. Another example of the Swissness of the show was when juror and prize winner, I'll leave you to ponder that one on your own, Bulgari CEO Jean-Christophe Babin gave his acceptance speech. It wasn't so much an acceptance speech as it was the 5-year business plan of the brand. A few guys did that. Very, very Swiss. What I didn't expect, perhaps, was the passion. This is a double-edged sword for me because, as someone who mostly sees these big brands from the outside, I often feel like they aren't particularly human. Take Bulgari, for example. It doesn't feel like a collective of individuals working ardently towards a goal. It feels like a machine, well-oiled and lacking the frivolity and fragility of human imperfection. But to see the award winners, the people behind the brands, beaming on stage was a new experience for me. Brands like Tudor, Van Cleef & Arpels, Hermes. These guys are monsters, brands where the CEO's assistant's cousin's dog has a dedicated marketing team of Harvard-qualified business robots. But yet there they were, stumbling over their words, mumbling into the mic, caught in the moment and paralysed by passion. Van Cleef is a great example because I also had the enormous privilege to speak to some of the team there at Watches and Wonders. It was day 3, I somehow had negative hours of sleep, and the last thing I wanted to do was look at watches, let alone talk to a jewellery brand about a lady's watch with flowers, and definitely not about a clock that was also a bird bath. Talk about not judging a book by its cover. Not only was the Lady Arpels Her Flores Cerisio watch a work of not just art but mechanical mastery as well, but that bird bath was actually one of the most impressive experiences I've ever had in my life, and I've been lucky enough to fly in a Red Bull Air Race plane. Describing it is a complete injustice, but so long as you know that this gargantuan piece is fully automated, including the moving water, the bird's wings and toes and eyelids, and even the bellows that provide their cheeping soundtrack, it's enough to get the idea across that it means serious business. But it was in speaking to the people who'd worked on it and the battles they'd had to create it that the real passion came to the surface. You'd imagine for a brand like that they'd have an almost NASA-like approach to building a creation such as this, that they'd be working in their droves in a vast clean room filled with white-coated technicians measuring things with lasers, but that couldn't be any more wrong. It was a small team of passionate people working in a tiny room on benches, figuring out one piece at a time how to make this vision a reality. People who were doing what they were doing because they'd been bitten by a bug that drove them tirelessly to the finish line. Making that connection at the GPHG made me realise too that even with the biggest brands like Tudor and Bulgari, there may be a lot of people, but they are still people driven by a fire in their bellies, and I just really wish they were better at communicating that to people like you and me. Their marketing teams are just too good, too slick, editing out any aspect that could be construed as human. I think it's why we're so drawn to the smaller brands, the Kari Voutilainens, the Edouard Meylands, and the Max Boosers of this world. Max took the grand prize for the MB&F Legacy machine, a very well-deserved win alongside the challenge prize for the Mad 1 Red, and his sentiments on winning defined exactly what makes him one of the most likeable and admired people in the industry. His words were both sparkling with joy and choked with exhaustion as he expressed what a wonderfully intense journey it had been. And it made me realise something. We don't love watches because they're clever, intricate things that overcome an ancient need to regulate and record timekeeping. We love them because of the journeys their creators took and the stories they forged through highs and lows, hardship and strife. The ruffled hair, the bags under the eyes, the tired smile that says one thing and one thing only. Addictive, all-consuming passion. It's given me a new take on the industry as a whole, and one I would dearly love to be an ambassador for communicating. These stories are so often buried behind polished PR and shiny images, and we never get to hear them properly. I want to tell these stories, unabridged, unpolished, to show the struggle that goes into making these incredible creations. I mean, I'd love to be on the jury of the GPHG too, but I doubt that's ever going to happen. Anyway, Grand Seiko. They won the chronometry prize with the Kodo Constant Force tourbillon. When I sat down at the beginning of the event, I saw two Japanese gentlemen, the only ones I'd seen in the entire theatre, and because I'm a bit slow sometimes, it didn't occur to me that perhaps they'd be from Grand Seiko. They looked incredibly sombre, not a word, not a smile, the whole time. So when they stood to receive the award and it clicked who they were, I anticipated an acceptance speech that was both bluff and to the point. Boy, was I wrong. It opened with Seiko President Akio Naito, who briefly and heartfeltedly thanked the relevant people. He then rather amusingly apologised to customers for delaying their pieces by bringing Takuma Kawaichi along, who developed the Kodo project. He then handed over to Takuma Kawaichi, whose few words, short and sweet, captured everything I love in my heart about not just Grand Seiko, but the industry as a whole. Rather than me repeating it, I think it's better for you to see it for yourself.
As I speak, Takuya should have been in Japan and working diligently on the remaining pieces of Kodo. But I couldn't help bringing him to this stage in anticipation of this prize, because I wanted to share this excitement honor with him tonight. So let me introduce you to Takuya Kawaichi.
Good evening. Standing here has been my dream since I entered WASTEP school in Tokyo. So it's unbelievable, and I'm speechless with this honor. I'd like to thank my Grand Seiko colleagues and all the members involved who made the creation of this watch a reality. We are all greatly honored and delighted to have Kodo recognized at this industry's most important award ceremony. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And ありがとうございました。
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.